Hello, my name is Mark Klimek. I am a registered nurse. I am president and CEO of Klimek Reviews. At Klimek Reviews, we help prepare graduates for the NCLEX RN and PN. We also want to help people who are still in nursing school to be successful, and we want to help new graduates maximize their experience as beginning generalist professionals. If you're signed on, you're part of Klimek Connect. And Klimek Connect is a uh, blog, a series of weekly free posts that we will make to help people in one of those groups, either helping students who are in school be more successful, helping graduates pass the NCLEX exams, and helping new nurses adjust successfully to their new jobs and to make career decisions. Throughout the year, we will have topics on all three of those. But right now, at this time of year, we're focusing on how to prepare for the NCLEX RN and PN. We are doing what we call a series called Walk Through the Blue Book. Now, the Blue Book is a book that I wrote. It's a compendium of basic nursing knowledge. It is a drill book. It is not multiple choice. It's not NCLEX style questions because you have all kinds of those out there. This book is a one of a kind. It's the only one that teaches you the facts because most people need the facts. You can't apply what you don't know. So where you start with your NCLEX preparation is with your knowledge base. You make sure your knowledge base is good, strong, and current. And the Blue Book is the only one that does that. These other books help you apply the knowledge base, but you have to first know the knowledge base, and that's what the Blue Book does. So we're going to go through with each of these videos that I do. We're going to do a certain section of the Blue Book, a highlight. It's not all of the Blue Book. There's lots in the Blue Book that we don't cover, but we're trying to cover to give you a sense of some of the essential things that are good to know. If I went through the whole Blue Book, it would take hours and hours and hours and hours. But that's your job to go through those and learn that. But I'll give you a taste in these sessions. Today, we're going to be talking about suicide risk factors. Suicide risk factors. In the Blue Book, it's chapter 4, page 74, in the topic called suicide. All right, so suicide risk factors. We're not going to cover everything about suicide, just the risk factors. This is episode 10 in our series in Klimek Connect Walk Through the Blue Book. It's episode 10. It's chapter 4 in the Blue Book, page 74. So let's talk about this. Now, one of the most important things to do when you're dealing with suicide, patients considering suicide, or people with suicidal ideation, people who have attempted it, people who are threatening to attempt it, is you need to assess their risk. There are many things you assess, but one of the biggest things is you assess their risk potential. And every generalist nurse needs to know what makes a person low risk for suicide, moderate risk of suicide, and high risk of suicide. And what we're talking about here is risk for attempting it as well as risk that it will end in death. So low risk means they're not as likely to attempt it. And if they do, it's not usually going to be a lethal situation. Moderate means it's attempted relatively frequently in this group, and it has a fairly substantial percentage of lethality. High risk means this group is the most likely people to attempt it, and when they attempt it, they're the group that is going to be most likely resulting in a lethality, a death, or mortality. So let's talk about low. What makes you low? Well, being a child, not an adolescent because they're high, but a child, say under 12-ish, okay? If they have no definite plan, that makes them low. That's why you always ask a person who says, I'm going to kill myself. You always ask them, do you have a plan? Tell me your plan. Because if they say, well, no, I really don't have a plan, well, then you know they're not as high a risk. Now, you don't just say, oh, they're fine, because no, yeah, that's dangerous too. But you know they may not need hospitalized at this moment. They might. And if they're married, because married, usually there's somebody else there that's aware of what's going on and some support Married couples range from really low supportive to very high supportive, right? But just being married or being in a in a relationship, a committed relationship, a long-term committed, deeper relationship, those kinds of things. They don't have to be married per se, but in that long-term committed relationship. Okay, those people who say, I think I'm going to commit suicide, and they're 10, of course, they're not married, but they're in a family relationship and they have no plan. I mean, that's totally different than other situations. Okay, what makes you moderate? Well, an adult, which means, over 30-ish, you know, not adolescent, a young adult, not elderly, but in the middle, sort of, middle 30s, 40s, 50s. A chronic pain can be a risk factor. If they're in chronic pain, they're more likely to attempt it than if they're not. If they have a plan, they're moderate risk. But assess the plan. If it's pills or things like that, that's low lethality. That makes them moderate. If they have access to medication, that makes them moderate. If they're gamblers, that makes them moderate. If they are divorced, or that makes them moderate. A family history makes it moderate. And if they have a loss, that makes it a moderate risk. So I always tell people moderate risk factors are things that happen to a lot of people. A lot of people have chronic pain. A lot of people have access to medication. A lot of people have a family history of suicide. A lot of people experience loss. A lot of people get divorced. A lot of people are adults. They're child, that's fewer people. You know, no definite plan, that's low. Married, that's low. But these things, these issues that people have that are fairly common make you moderate. Okay, now what makes you high risk? Okay, well, adolescents, some young adults under 30, and the very old, so the extremes there, usually people over 50 gets higher risk. If they have a plan and it's highly lethal, that makes them high, like a gun or a knife. If they're male, if they're separated. Do you understand? Separation is much more emotionally turmoiled than divorce. Because once you're divorced, you start your life over and you reintegrate. But separation is a horrible time. It's where it's like that no man's land where you have no clue what's going on in your life, and it's horrible. And every day is a challenge, and you can't even get finality. You can't even get closure because you're still just separated. It's a real traumatic situation. If you have psychological comorbidities, psych diseases, if you're a drug addict, if you've had previous attempts, if there's alcohol and drug use. See, and I say these are things that not everybody is. Not everybody's male. Not everybody's separated. That's a tough one. Not everybody has a psych disease. Not everybody has made previous attempts. These things that I listed for high are less common than things I listed for moderate. Okay, access to medications, that's a lot of people have that. That's moderate. But alcohol and drug abuse, that's rarer, so they're high. Okay. Um, Loss, everybody has loss, so that's moderate. Psych diseases, that's not as common, so that's high. Okay. Just has a plan to kill themselves. That's people. A lot of people do, but having made previous attempts, that's rarer, so that makes them high. Okay, so if you're sitting there on NCLEX, you can't think, is it moderate, is it high? Well, is it one of those things that a small percentage of the population would actually do and have? That would make you high. But if it's something that a lot of people, divorce, loss, access to meds, chronic pain, those are moderates. Okay, so I hope that helps you. In closing, I want to say one thing on NCLEX. if on NCLEX you get a question and one of the answers is, are you thinking of killing or harming yourself? Even if you think that is a stupid thing to say, you always pick that. Okay? Never pass up a chance to ask a person, are you thinking of harming or killing yourself? Alrighty? Because on NCLEX, if you answer anything else, you're not answering the safety answer. All right? Okay, hope that's helpful. Here again, tell others if you find it helpful, have them enlist in Klimek Connect, and for free, follow our posts and our sessions. And have a great day, and I wish the best for you.